All right. Well, I just want to say welcome to you, April, and to others who may be coming on, and also for others who were scheduled to come on and maybe they weren't able to make it. So we are going to record this. My name is Pam Coleman. I am the creator of the BMB Masterclass and BMB Stars Method. And we're on screen now, but I'm going to take myself off screen so we can kind of concentrate on, the presentation itself. So welcome. The purpose of this masterclass is really to help you to do what I was able to do, which is how to free up your time and increase your income as a short-term rental host, even if you're working a 9-to-5 and you've never owned or managed rental property. And so I just wanted to take a moment just to ask, April, have you ever managed property before, or have you ever just anything, stayed in the Airbnb, or just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, actually, I never stayed in the Airbnb, but I know people who do stay in the Airbnb are pretty satisfied. How the whole operation works is when you renting out like so many days or a week or so. Yeah. And as far as managing properties, right now, I'm actually a realtor.
Okay.
So, I deal with the sellers and buyers, if you consider that like managing properties. Yeah, I just became a realtor in 2020.
In 2020, congratulations. That is awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And so I know there are people who are realtors who love, selling homes and helping people to purchase their first home or their second home, but really have not managed property themselves, and maybe they want to get into investing. But short-term rental hosting is a different type of investing, and that's what we're going to talk about. So here's some of the things we're going to discuss during this master class. We're going to look at this $1.2 trillion short-term rental industry, and we're going to look at some of the trends that are taking place right now. I'm going to talk about the BNB Stars method, and that's what I use to develop 12 short-term rentals in 6 months. We're going to talk about how you search for an ideal location, and also how you can be supported on your journey as a short-term rental host. And so you just talked a little bit about Airbnb, and you say you have stayed in one before, a vacation rental, or?
Actually, I haven't, but I've known people who has.
Okay.
I never stayed in one though.
You never have. Have you ever even been on the platform to see what it looks like, to just kind of see how you would, be able to get into your own Airbnb if you were interested? Have you been on the platform before?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right.
Just saw pictures.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So just kind of letting you know a little bit about how this works. Airbnb was actually started by 3 guys in California. They were trying to pay their rent, and they said, hey, if we rent out like a mattress or whatever, or a couch in our place, then we can help pay our rent. And they originally called it, I think it was I don't know, it was a different name, but they started renting out their couch or renting out an air mattress or whatever, and it just grew from there. And now it is like a Airbnb is like the standard when it comes to short-term rentals, and there are so many others now. There's VRBO, you see a lot of their commercials. You can also rent out someone's place through booking.com. So there are a lot of different other channels, but overall worldwide, this is a $1.2 trillion industry. And here are some trends. And I have the actual listing of where I got these trends from, in case you want us to look it up. So something called the Great Escape. As you know, during the pandemic, there were a lot of different people who kind of were cooped up and couldn't go anywhere. And so now that things are opening back up, more and more travelers want to pick rural locations and explore the great outdoors, both in the US and around the world. So people who have short-term rentals in, like, say, the woodsy areas, or even on a beach or the mountains or whatever, those, they're doing very well. Also the rise of leisure. So what that is, during the pandemic, a lot of people were forced to work from home. And then many people decided, I like this so much, I don't want to have to go back into the office. And so there are people now who don't just work from home, they actually travel to different locations and work there. So it's kind of the combination of business and leisure. And so there are people called digital nomads. Like, that's what they do. They travel from place to place and they use technology and still get their work done. So number 3 says opting for longer stays. Between business travelers, the digital nomads I was talking about, and families, stays of 4 or more days have increased, and also monthly stays are rising. And also those of us who are 40 years and older are 4 times more likely to book trips longer than a week. And so here's what's happened with us. We have short-term rentals in Philadelphia in an apartment. We also have them here in our home. And in both instances, there are people who have stayed for like several months because maybe, one couple in particular, the lady is studying to be an anesthesiologist. And so she had to go back and forth to her hospital. And then now she moved on to a different city where she's going to be doing her rotations there as well. Another gentleman, he came because he was moving into the area, and he needed a place to stay short term until he could find his own house. So there are people who are doing it for work. There are people who just like to travel, and they have leisure time, and they want to spend longer periods of time. So that's another thing. Here's something else though. More and more, there's more regulations that are coming about because cities are restricting some of these short-term rentals, and there are different ways they're restricting. So some areas they ban short-term rentals altogether. Some they've created certain zones. Like, April, you live in Philadelphia, right? So in Philadelphia, effective April 1st and moving forward, it's going to be in place by July 1st. There are certain districts where the short-term rentals will be allowed to be, and it's in CMX 3, 4, and 5. And then other places, if you have a short-term rental in your home, you have to be licensed, and there's a certain number of days that a person can stay and so forth. So there's a lot more regulation. So it's important to always keep that in mind. And then the other thing is that for many years, individuals, or even like people who had an LLC, maybe they had a company, they might have 1 or 2 or 7 or 10 or 15 short-term rentals. But now much larger investors are getting in this game. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Sounder. Have you ever heard of Sounder?
No.
Well, Sounder is actually a company that has short-term rentals, and they list on Airbnb, but they're their own company, and they have Sounders, all over the country, possibly around the world. And there are other companies that are doing this. So they're not hotels. They're like a luxury hotel feel, but it's still like considered short-term rental. So more larger investors are coming on board. And so that is, part of the trend. So these are all things to keep in mind. So here's questions that some people may have. First of all, like you, April, you said you've never ever stayed in an Airbnb. So maybe you don't know what it's like, but for us, I just want to share, we started, I started staying in Airbnb starting like in 2015. And I found that compared to a hotel, it just gave more amenities, depending on which one you select. But, a lot of times you'll have use of the kitchen, or you might have your own private space where you go in and it's like a little apartment. Or, one Airbnb we stayed in, they had a pool, or, another one, they had like we had the whole top floor of the house. So depending on what you're staying in, it can be a really good deal. So questions you may have if you want to be a host, is now a good time to get in? So you might hear about others making money and you want to know, is now a good time to get in? And I say yes. Other times people have questions, do I have time to do this? So some people may feel, I don't know if I have time to be a host. But then if you can look at how you can carve out some of the spare time you have, you actually can increase your income by being a short-term rental host. And there are ways to automate and use systems so that it doesn't take up all of your time.
Okay.
Another question that people may have, I've never managed rental property. How will this work? Or, other people might say, I've managed rental property, but can you make as much doing short-term rentals as you can long-term? And yes, because we have both. We have long-term tenants and short-term. And yes, you can make more money if you position it correctly. And then another question is, if I decide to pursue this, who can help guide me? And I would like to say that because I've been doing this and because I've been an investor for a number of years, I would like to be able to be that person who can provide guidance. So here's why, we're thinking about why is it important now? Because many people, even though they have a job or they might have another type of business, they feel like if I could just have another source of income, I can get ahead a little bit better. And I offer this as a possibility for you. And so here's the thing. Imagine if you're able to host guests using a spare room or maybe in a property that you don't even own. You can actually make money as a short-term rental. And imagine if you can learn how to automate your short-term rental business and save yourself time. And that's what we do. And also imagine if you have a proven system that shows you how to start earning money in the first 60 or 90 days. Is that something that would be interesting to you or, yeah?
Yes, very interesting because some years ago, I've always wanted to, do like rental properties, but then fear got in the way because I would hear too many horror stories, like the bad side of a landlord or a bad side of a tenant. So it kind of deterred me away from it. But now that I'm a realtor, I'm like, okay, I'm in the game now. I think I want to do more. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you became a realtor in like a challenging time because 2020, it was probably right before the pandemic that you became a realtor.
It was actually doing it in the middle.
Wow.
In the middle. Yeah.
Wow. And that in and of itself is like commendable because some people would just stop and say, you know what, let me just hold my horses and wait. But you kept moving and now you are a realtor. I love it. I love it. So we're here to talk about that, how you can do that. So here's one thing that I think is important is to actually show some of what we did and the results. So you can see that it makes sense. So of course, we've been realtors, but real estate investors for a number of years, but we were presented with an opportunity to, become short-term rental hosts of a brand new apartment building where the entire building was turned into short-term rentals. And then we also have 2 properties here in our home. So the first 5, it was like the end of November, the last 5 days of November, we actually had our first booking here in our home. So we generated $1,328, which was not bad for the first booking. Then in December, we opened up the short-term rentals in Philadelphia and our income jumped to close to $9,000. And then in January, we started getting a little better what we did, and it jumped again to, $12,500. So within the first 57 days of existence, we brought in, $22,000, which is not bad. And we were just getting started. And then we can see over these past few months how that revenue has grown. So February was 14,000, March was 15, and then April was just ended $16,797, or almost 17,000. And so for the first 5 months of opening all 10 units, we actually doubled from December to April. We doubled in revenue from like 8,600 to 16,797. And so when we look at whether something is a success, it's not just the revenue, but it's also what's behind it. So overall for this year alone, 2022, because what they do is they look at your bookings that are coming in. So even though we're just starting in May now, already 70,000 has been generated or will be generated. And then we also want to look at the reviews. So since you're not on Airbnb, you don't know, but the hosts have an opportunity to review and to share about the guests, and the guests have an opportunity to share about the host. And so we, of course, sometimes we're going to get negative reviews, but for the most part, our reviews are very positive. So I just picked 3 to highlight. Apartment was clean, spacious, and comfortable, huge beds, good spots and walking distance. So that person, people talk about what's important to them. The next person says studio was beautiful, just like the pictures. Thank you, Chuck and Pam. And the last person really felt like home, enjoyed my stay, would definitely stay again. So this is just a sample of some of our reviews. And then with Airbnb, you're rated. So it's a 5-star rating system, and you're rated on certain things. You're rated on your communication, your overall quality. You're rated on location, on cleanliness, and there's something else I'm forgetting. And so if you have a 4.8 or above, that's considered very good. So this is, what we have done over these past 5 months, from November until now. We have a 4.8 rating, and we work hard to do that. So this is our home here in Atlanta, where we have 2 units. Beautiful. We have a 5-bedroom home, and so 2 of those bedrooms have turned into an Airbnb. And then where it says we can rent someone else's property, this unit, this apartment building in Philadelphia, we don't own it. We're actually doing a master lease, and so it's possible to do both. Although in Philly, there are things that you have to be aware of before you can move forward, which I know about those things.
Yeah.
So here's the purpose of this master class: is to share the method that I use, that you can use to get your short-term rental business off the ground. It's to teach you some strategies to save you time through automation. And also, if you're interested in working alongside of me, it's to help you to understand how you can do that and how I can help you to become profitable. And so why should you listen to what I have to say? I'm going to share some things that I did right and some things I did wrong, just a little bit about myself. So my parents, this is me in 1961, my mom and dad. And my parents started Ivy League school. I don't know if have you ever heard of Ivy League school?
Yeah, my oldest son went to Ivy League.
What's your oldest son's name?
Troy Pearson. You won't remember. It was like years ago.
He's
37.
Troy. How old is he now?
37.
37. Wow.
And it's like when I ride by the school, I'm like, oh my gosh, where's Ivy League? It seems odd that it's not there anymore.
Yeah, well, you already know the history. That it started in 1961 and it lasted until 2007. And so thousands of kids went through that school. And I had no idea that your son was there. I didn't know that. Wow. So that little circle, that's me standing with my dad, and my mom is the person bending down, welcoming one of the first students. And so my mom and dad were edupreneurs because they were educators, they were entrepreneurs, and that laid a foundation for me becoming an edupreneur. They built their own home in Philly, and back then most people didn't do that. Like they found a plot of land, they built it. They were in a lot of publications, and this is me like freshman at Hampton University, and I wanted to be just like them. Got married to my husband. Before I got married, though, I purchased a property near Drexel University. And it was a good deal, but back in 80, I think it was 85, I purchased it, something like that. The interest rate was really high. The interest rate was something like 12 or 13% is extremely high. And also as a young person, I didn't know how to manage my property. I didn't know how to screen my tenants. I lost a lot of money because the contractors would just rake me over the coals. I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I sold it, I sold at a loss. But when I married Chuck, he had also purchased a property in his 20s, and he had purchased it for $1 from the city. So he knew a lot of things.
Dollar days.
Yeah. So, but I failed at this first property. This is us and our
That's smart.
kids are now grown, but I always like to share that when my son was our oldest son was 3 months old, we got a chance to meet Rosa Parks, and it was so funny. He didn't know who she was. He was just playing around in her hair, but we were so blessed to get a chance to meet her. And all three of our kids are now grown and they're all entrepreneurs. I've taught all ages, but one of my favorite things was being a college professor at Eastern University. So this is me, and my dad came to meet some of my class. So that's him sitting, he's no longer here, but that was him sitting in the midst of us. And also I did staff development and trainings and so forth. So I have actually been teaching and educating for 40 years, and I love what I do. And then also we've been involved in network marketing and starting businesses and so forth. So real estate investing and entrepreneurship and education, that's me. So now you've been wondering, how can I earn extra income in my spare time? And are short-term rentals even possible in my market? And yes, just there are things that you have to know, especially in Philly. Is it possible to become a host if I don't own a property? Yes. And where do I turn to for answers? So if you're ready, let's jump into it. This just on the left shows one of the properties in Philly, and then on the right, that shows one of the bedrooms here in our home. And so what I'm going to share is just, I created a method called B&B stars. And so every letter in the word stars has meaning. And so the first letter, and also the course that I created, every week we go through one of the letters, and there are action items to do so that you can move forward in becoming a host. And so the first thing that I will teach people is how to start searching. What are you looking for a short-term rental? And even before that, if you're searching in a particular location, whether it's Philly or Baltimore, or the Poconos or Dallas or whatever, the first thing we have to do is look at the laws, because if you don't know what those regulations are, you could be searching for a beautiful property, but then you're not able to use it for short-term rental. So that's the first thing we're going to do is search properties. And, depending on your location, you can use your own property or other people's property. I prefer, if you own property, I really just feel like you can make more money when you own it, but some people like to do arbitrage, and that's what we're doing, but I prefer to own it. The next part of S, this is week number 2, is setup. And so we had I'm constantly going to real estate seminars, whether online or in person. I'm purchasing courses and materials. And so I feel like whenever you're going to approach something, just like as a realtor, you had to study and you had to map out a plan, you had to take those exams, you probably had a mentor. That's the same thing. When you have a template or a roadmap, it makes it easier for you to avoid mistakes and move faster. And so the second week we talk about setup. How can you set up your short-term rental, and you have a template to follow in terms of, what would the budget be for a studio or 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom? How would you set it up? On the third week, we actually talk about team. So all successful hosts use a team approach to succeed. Now, it might be a little different if you just have one. Like, say, if you're just doing it in your home, you may not need a team. But if you plan to scale and grow larger, having a team is important. And even if you just have one, there's certain components you actually need to have on your team. The A stands for automation. That's week number 4. So automation makes hosting easier and it saves you time. And we talk about certain systems to automate. The R is respond. When you respond to your guests, you can earn high ratings and reviews. And that's one of the things that we have done, is being responsive and being proactive, not letting things go. Because the more you respond and the faster you respond, and the more you can kind of anticipate what your guests may want and need, that way you have high ratings. When you have higher ratings, people are more willing to book your place. And the last week, which is the 6th week, is succeed. And it says, by duplicating a system and staying informed about current trends, you will succeed. So there are things that maybe 5 years ago, things were kind of a lot more loose. There wasn't as much regulation and there weren't as many hosts. Now you really do need that roadmap so you can understand what you need to do so you can succeed. And then as you succeed, that provides more options for you and your family. And so before I go on, I just want to find out, April, what are some of the things that you would like to do? I know you're a realtor and I'm sure you probably enjoy it, but if you had some options available in terms of extra time or money, what might you do with extra time or money?
What might I do with extra time? Ooh.
Mhm.
I like vacations.
Like, where would you go?
Oh, wow. It could be anywhere. I'm not really choosy about vacations. I just the fact just getting out to have a little free time, to have a little break.
Gotcha.
So it could be somewhere real. Oh, maybe, I've been seeing a lot of people going to Hawaii. So maybe like Hawaii.
Yeah.
Seems to be pretty nice.
Where else might you travel to?
Where else I would want to go?
Have you done a lot of traveling already?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Okay. It's so funny because our youngest is 17. So before him, we were traveling a lot.
Okay.
And then we kind of like put it to a halt, but we was doing it. And then the COVID came. So kind of put it to like a complete halt.
Now how many kids do you have? How old?
I have 2 boys, but they're 20 years apart.
You said what?
They're 20 years apart. Troy is 37 and Nafis is 17. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, he's a junior.
I can't imagine. So like as Troy was growing up, you were traveling, and then when your 17-year-old came, you kind of stopped traveling.
Yeah, we were still traveling because I had gotten married in 1999.
Okay.
Yeah, and then here comes Nafis.
Gotcha.
So that's my husband and I. My oldest is not my husband's child.
Okay.
But the youngest is. And even when we were younger, we were still traveling. But then it kind of like came to a halt at a certain point.
Okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah. What else might you do with extra time and money? So travel, what else?
I guess extra time and money. I guess to make sure my investments are right. Making sure that my money is operating right and keeping everything stabilized.
Okay.
I'm real mindful about managing my money. So yeah.
I understand. I definitely understand. Well, this could put some extra income in your pocket, which would be nice. As a realtor, I know that you can make a sizable amount when you sell a property, and sometimes it's feast or famine. So some months you might have a lot of stuff going on.
It's a serious hustle.
Yeah. And then the other times it might be like, where is everyone? So yeah. So I definitely understand. Ooh, I'm going backwards. I didn't mean to go backwards. Okay. All right. So we're going to start out just by talking about using your own property. So I want to ask you a question. In your house right now, do you have like an extra bedroom or rec room or something, a space where someone could actually stay in your house?
Not really.
No.
Still got,
Okay. I got you. And I understand because everyone is different, and with Nafis still at home, you're like, nah. Yeah. Well, what we did was we turned 2 empty bedrooms in our home into short-term rentals, and these rooms actually cover our mortgage. So sometimes you might even have like a guest room, and you may think, it's not that much. But it's a place where somebody could stay. Right now, it might be a sewing room or a reading room or whatever, but it could be turned into a money-making venture. So, and then the other thing is, you might want to look at renting someone else's place. Now, again, with the ways the laws changed in Philadelphia, you have to look at what the law will allow. And if it doesn't allow in Philadelphia, it may be that you're looking outside of Philadelphia. You might look at, I don't know, I'm not going to name any places, but I have a couple that took this course they started in January, they finished last month. No, they finished in March, so 2 months ago. And they actually have 2 condos in Jenkintown. And they were thinking about doing long-term rental, but it turned out they went through my course. It made sense. They did short-term rentals, and they are now making money from those short-term rentals. So, you know, you can start in your place or rent someone else's place. And one thing that I tell people, kind of look at where you can rent if you are going to rent someone else's place, where you can, it's a value where you're not paying $2,000 a month, because you have to have some room in there to make money. So, you know, you're looking for a place that's nice and a decent neighborhood. But even if you start with a studio or 1 bedroom, it's better to start small and have that be successful, and you can earn money that way. So, and looking online, and actually focusing in on 1 zip code, not like all of Philadelphia. I just put that in there to show a minimum of 1,200, but then looking at a specific zip code, and also Facebook Marketplace. So like every market is different. This is down here in Georgia. There's a cute little house for $1,000 a month. You know, may not be possible in other areas, but you know, this is something that could actually be put on as a short-term rental. And so I always ask people, you know, as you're thinking about it, would you start in your place or rent someone else's place? And April, you're saying you definitely couldn't start in your place. So you might want to rent someone else's place, or I don't know if you would purchase a property that you would turn into a short-term rental, but you know, it's worth looking into. And here's something that I think is important, because some people think, well, I got to do everything. I have to personally greet each guest. I have to respond to every message. I have to personally clean. If you just have 1 short-term rental, you know, maybe that will work. But if you're looking to scale and build more, we show you how to do a system, so you're not, you know, spending all of your time with the short-term rental. You don't want to have another job. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Okay. So you can use automation to save time. And so one example of automation is having an automated messaging and guidebook. So we set it up so that when people book or when people have questions, it generates like an automated message, and we put in through the automation, you can put in their name, you can put in the date they're booking and all that sort of thing. And also our guidebook is automated, and they can just click on it. We send them a link. They click on it. It tells them about the area where the Ridge is located in Philly. It tells them how to operate things in their apartment and so forth. So it just saves a whole lot of time. And also, you know, you can reduce your time by having things like automated locks. If you have, you know, quite a few short-term rentals, you don't want to clean them yourself, because that's very time intensive. So you can actually hire cleaners. And yes, there is a fee to do that. But if your time, to me, my time is worth a whole lot more than trying to do all this myself. And so there are automated systems where Hospitable is like a channel manager that can help you to manage things like manage your cleaners, manage your messaging and all that. And again, it all depends on what people want to do. If you're only going to have 1 short-term rental, you don't need all of this. But if you want to scale, you know, you want to take it to a level where you don't have to do everything all the time. How you can succeed quickly with less mistakes is when you have a clear roadmap and a guide. And so this is the system that I developed, and it's called DMV Stars, how to set up, automate, and succeed as a short-term rental host. So these are the components of the system. And I went through that before. The first 2 weeks, we're going to teach you how to search and set up. The 3rd week is team. 4th week is automate. The 5th week is respond. And then the 6th week or the last week is succeed. And so just recapping, you don't have to start in your own place if you don't want to. You can look for someone else's place. You can use automation to save time, and you'll reach your destination quicker with a roadmap and a guide. And so here's my question to you. If you were able to, if I was able to provide a roadmap to you and just really show you what I did using live coaching, would that be valuable? And would that make a difference for you? I know for me, when I've had a coach and I've gotten the information from people who are doing it, it just cuts down my time tremendously. So again, this just shows you, you know, what we did in the first 5 months, November, 1,300, and the last, you know, first few months of 2022, we've generated 70,000. And then this is, we had one of my last students that took the course from January to March. I helped them to set things up and everything. They listened, they followed the instructions, and then their very first booking that they got, so I share with you different things about, you know, how to furnish and all that, as well as having professional photographers. So it looked gorgeous. I helped them to get all their wording correct. And then when they put their listing up, this is what they got. People were interested and someone did an instant book. So someone needed to stay in their place because he had to work there temporarily. So a 40-night registration at $5,600, and it yielded them $4,457, which is great. Like that's their first booking.
Wow.
And so here's how, remember I was sharing with you, if you were interested, here's how you could work with me. So I'm starting a 6-week live course. It's going to begin next Monday, which is the day after Mother's Day. And there are already people who are enrolled. There are people who are intending to enroll. So you'll learn in an engaging environment. And then your investment in the course includes being able to ask questions in real time versus, you know, when I took a course about short-term rentals, I got a prepackaged course. And so I wasn't able to ask questions. Like the person was hyping it all up and yeah, this is great. And so I paid quite a bit. I thought was a good amount of money. And I thought I was going to get some real life valuable, like being able to talk back and forth. But what she did, she sold the course. And then she said, now you can pay additional money if you want to get my help. But then it wasn't her giving the help. It was someone else. It was like younger people, like, and I don't have any problem with that. But my husband and I are seasoned investors. We've been investing since before some of these people were born. And I didn't appreciate paying for something, paying the first time and then paying more. And then like she's the person who has the knowledge, but she wasn't the one that was interacting with us. And I didn't like that.
Passed it to someone else.
Exactly.
Much younger.
Much younger. Yeah. And also we were doing 10 at one time. And some of these people had only done their first or second one. And they weren't able to help us. And I was not happy about that.
Wow.
So, but with my course, it's live. So it's not like prepackaged. You get a chance to ask questions and so forth. And also you have access to the replay. So once the course, you know, is like every Monday, you know, so like later that day, later that evening, you'll have the replay and you'll be able to look at things and the resources and also, and always, as it's updated, you'll always have the new information. So the price was $1,597, but I dropped it down to $1,047. That is a really good price because if you knew what I paid for other people to work with me, not just with this, but in other venues with real estate, that's a good price. And so again, 6 weeks of live coaching, help setting up your automated systems, tips on finding and furnishing your property, lifetime updates to the course, and then you'll be part of a growing community of short-term hosts. And also being able to, even after the course is over, having monthly Q&A and support. And so that is, you know, that's what I just wanted to share with you. I had a webinar that took place on Thursday, and there were more people on the webinar. So some people are starting to sign up. But that's the link to sign up. And when we, you know, because I'm basically finished, I just want to know if you have any questions. When we finish, I'll, you know, send you that link just so you can have it. And I would love to work with you. I really would. Yeah.
Yeah, you said it's starting Monday, May 9th. Is there a particular time?
Next Monday, yes, it's going to be 6:30 to 7:30.
Okay, 6:30. Okay.
Yeah, that time usually works for people because they can,
Evening
finish
hours,
what they're
afternoon
doing and
time.
eat their dinner and so forth. Yeah. And I would love to be able to work with you, especially you're a realtor and, you see all these other people buying houses. You might have helped investors buy investment property. So now just being able to help you, and one gentleman that's going to be in the course, he's also in Philadelphia as well. So, if most of the people in Philadelphia, I'm just going to focus in on Philadelphia. And also looking at other possibilities in surrounding areas, because Philly,
Jenkintown, Willow Grove.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from. Abington. That's where I grew up at.
Okay.
Actually, we came to Philadelphia when I was 13 years old. And then
you moved to Philly when you were 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
But everybody, just my mom and my aunt. All my other aunts, they're still over Abington, Willow Grove, Jenkintown.
I gotcha. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the area.
Okay. Yeah. Now you have your house in Philly.
Yes.
But no other like rental properties or anything. No. Okay. I got you.
Always wanted to, but like I said, that's when I let fear get in the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. Because my thing is this, you can do both. Like if you position the property well, you might say, well, I want to do a short-term rental hosting, or you might say, you know what, I want to buy a property and have long-term tenants. Either way, I mean, it's something I can help you with, but I'm focusing specifically on short-term rentals in this one. So
Now, basically, when you say buy, does it have to be? Can it be like an investment property or a house that's already ready, move-in ready?
Well, it can be an investment property. I would suggest though, if you're planning to do short-term rentals, that you try to get something that's already move-in ready, because then you're looking at a learning curve of working with contractors and getting permits and all that, where the whole purpose of wanting to make money, it kind of gets diluted because now you're shifting to a different focus. So
I need something already ready.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to help me out with the searching.
Yeah, since it's just you and I'm going to stop recording.